Hi everybody, my name is Pieta Valentine. I've written 2 books, The Resident's Voice from a Dementia Unit and The Resident's Rise from a Dementia Unit. So the session today is on positivity in a dementia unit. Now, many people think that everything about dementia is just plain sad, especially in a dementia unit. It's even sadder. And even though, of course, there's sad things that happen in dementia units, as there are sad things that happen in all our lives, but still there can be a lot of positivity as well. And that was brought home to me in a workshop that I took some years ago, which I've also explained in the report in The Resident's Voice. So I'd been taking activities for residents for some time, including workshops of a kind, and I hadn't really been able to engage the residents up till this point. They were very shut down and shut off, and I got the occasional, thank you dear, or I did get one, we like you, which was a big boost, but over a year, that's not a lot of conversation. So I was beginning to think if I'd ever make any sort of mark on the place, not just that so much as whether I was, not that at all actually, I was beginning to wonder whether these residents would actually ever be able to activate, like manage or, respond actually. So anyway, I'd just been to this movie, Hamlet, National Theatre at our Sumner Hollywood Theatre, which is now closed for renovation, sadly. And Benedict Cumberbatch was the main lead, Hamlet, and he was absolutely superb. And so that week I'd just been studying Hamlet and reading up, studying the quotes and just enjoying it, thinking about it. So I thought, oh, well, I'll just try this as a workshop topic and just see if, I didn't have much hope that it would work, but I thought no harm trying. So I wrote up Hamlet and I wrote up the 3 quotes of to be or not to be. That is the question. And brevity is the soul of wit. And there is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. There is neither good or bad, but thinking makes it so. So I thought, okay, see how we go. So I did a little bit of an explanation on each one, and not much comment. But then I thought, oh, look, I'll just see which one, ask for a hand raise, and see if I can get some response from that. I was, many of these people these residents had studied Hamlet at school. So I knew there'd be some past bank memory there, with Hamlet being the big Shakespeare play for most of us in the Commonwealth anyway. So I had some hope around that. So I went through the 3 quotes again. Brevity is the soul of wit. Nothing is neither good or bad, but thinking makes it so. And to be or not to be. Okay. So I went around and I said, okay, we're going to have a vote on and see if we can get the best quote that you like, and then we're going to work on it. So I went around the whole group for the 3, quotes, and by far the most popular quote was, nothing is either good or bad, but thinking makes it so, which is really the basis of positive thinking. A good second was to be or not to be, but the first quote of nothing is either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. The thinking, they like the thinking aspect. The thinking makes it so. And I thought, wow, they are thinking. Goodness. Okay, and that nothing is either good or bad, but you make it that way. So that's, quite a very insightful perspective that they were having. So I would realize from that point something is going on here, a lot more than what we realize. So from that, for the whole year, we actually talked about positive thinking and confidence building. They were the 2 most popular topics. And it was wonderful. wonderful in every way. The efforts these residents made was fantastic. You know, it was so impressive, the effort they made, because the thing is, it's not just like us being positive, or a person without dementia being positive. It's hard enough actually as it is, isn't it, being positive, even without dementia, because we've got the default couch potato syndrome, where, you know, we can just sort of go back on the couch at night and watch Netflix TV and become mindless in a sense. You know, the mind just goes into sort of the routine orbit and we don't have to think too much. Whereas with dementia residents, because their mind is dysfunctional, they actually have to keep their intellect engaged pretty much all the time if they're to prevent dementia stress. So it's a huge effort to keep up this intellectual engagement, which is all about positivity, isn't it? I mean, all intellectual input is positivity. It's when the mind and the emotions and the negative and the depressive stuff comes in that we start sinking back. So really, if they can stimulate the intellect with the positive, it generates that positive energy and focus and, you know, takes them forward. So that was it. We've discussed positivity, confidence building, everything about being positive, from, you know, positive workshops, from positive conversation to positive relationships. And, you know, if anyone was being negative, you know, it was clamped down on. It was not tolerated within the group, actually. I mean, there was some liberty given to the people who are more disadvantaged, like the wanderers, you know, who have less cognitive ability. There was a little more tolerance for them. But for the central group of 10 who engaged in these workshops and all of this sort of thinking work, if any negativity came up, that was stamped down. It was, you know, other residents would say, you know, enough of that. We don't need negative and we don't want negative here. It's not, you know, helpful and it has to go. So that was a really fabulous launch of the work, really. It was from that point that the work launched. I realized, okay, these people can think, they have an intellect, they can work through that, but it's important to be positive and to build that through to confidence and communication. But the whole aspect of being positive, I didn't have to convince the residents about that at all. They totally got that immediately, that the importance of being positive. That was an instant take, because they just realized that unless they were positive and made that positive effort, that all the negative, all the dementia negative, would drag them back quick as anything. So fortunately, I didn't have to make an effort with that, but I did have to make an effort with engaging. I did have to make a big effort in bringing about positive, engaging, interesting topics that interested them as much as Hamlet did. So that was the big deal. You know, we did everything. We went right through from, you know, Socrates and Aristotle right through to the Roman Empire, and then the French Revolution and the Renaissance and Michelangelo and the Pieta, and then, you know, the Industrial Revolution, all the technology, you know, all the technology from railroads to rail cars to steamships to light bulbs to planes to you name it, computers to iPhones. I'd take one topic, one of any of those topics, just one, and make it into one big workshop, just like Netflix does now, doesn't it? David Attenborough and The Crown. I mean, it's fabulous. Once that came in, that made my life so much easier. But before that, just getting the topic and expanding on it was the way to go, because the thing is, it's actually the depth and detail that stimulates the intellect. It's not the superficial flick, flick, flick through the iPhone stuff. That certainly does not engage the intellect. It actually stresses the mind out, which sort of closes down the intellect. I mean, the intellect's all about depth and thinking and reasoning and understanding. You know, it's not fast mode. It's, you know, steady mode. So the topics do have to be engaging, and there has to be some depth in it. So it really doesn't matter what the topic is, as long as it's interesting, for the residents, and equally it actually needs to be interesting for the person that is presenting it, because you can't be enthusiastic about something unless you're interested. And the residents, people with dementia, need enthusiasm. With what's being presented, it needs to be lively, enthusiastic, not over the top, but it needs to be vibrant, because so much of their cognition is shut down and they rely so much on the senses, the sight, the hearing, the gestures, the animation to be able to gauge and become orientated. You need to be able to do that full visual presentation for them to be able to take it on to the maximum ability that they can. So it's very rewarding. I mean, of course it's rewarding to be able to study all these things yourself, and then to be able to present it, firstly, for the knowledge that you gain, secondly, the knowledge that you can give, and thirdly, and more importantly, the knowledge the residents can share with each other and with you. And that's when you know you've made your mark, is when the residents start talking to each other about the topic, Oh yes, positivity is important, isn't it? And, we don't want negative here, and, we only want positive. It's important to be positive, and don't worry about repetition. Repetition's fantastic if it's about positivity, certainly. And actually, it's good affirmations. If one of the residents, often the residents repeat themselves. That's good in a different way. Positivity's good. My mother always said to me, I should be positive, and we should be positive, not negative, and, similar affirmations, similar repetitions, but actually it's good because it does, once you hear something over and over, it settles in there, doesn't it? So positive affirmations on anything to do with positive and not negative. It's very good. So yeah, that's what we talked about, being positive and the importance of it, and eliminate the negative and be confident. I mean, that helped confidence anyway. When you can start to think and engage and communicate, then naturally that's going to help confidence. Thinking really helps confidence a lot. When you can actually harness your intellect and think about, nothing is good or bad, but thinking makes it so, or to be or not to be, or brevity is the soul of wit. If you can think of any of those slogans and actually just let it sink in and then make a comment on that, like with brevity is the soul of wit. Yes, humour's great, isn't it? And it's good if people just don't go on and on, but can listen to others and let each of us have our say and all the rest of it. Once they start to make responses like that, you know that you're reaching them. And once one person in the group says something, whatever the comment, it's much, much, much easier for others to, chime in or to say something as well. It's much more effective if comments come from the floor than it is from the presenter, obviously. So any comment that comes from the floor, so if they say, true brevity is the soul of wit, let's say they say, humour's very important here, or we oldies like to have fun. That was a bit of a common one. We oldies like to have fun. So you write that up beside the name, and then you tease it out. You tease out that one comment. Now Jane, if it was Jane said, we oldies like to have fun. Now, why is fun important? Why do oldies like to have fun? Is it more important for oldies to have fun than young people to have fun? And what is fun? And what are the most fun things that you like doing? And what do you find funny? I mean, on and on. You can go on and on about any topic and deeper, deeper, deeper. And then at the end of it, you get this, once you've, this is the whole Aristotle approach, isn't it? Questioning, or Socrates, was it? Yeah, Socrates. You keep questioning. And in the end, you actually get a realization of what it actually is about. So if it's about brevity is the soul of wit, and it's about being funny, and you think about being funny for long enough, at the end of it, you feel funny, in a good way rather than an odd way. So anyway, that's how you do it. And that's what we did, and that's why it was so enjoyable, and I so enjoyed working with those residents. It was the biggest privilege of my life, and I learned so much from them. It was just fantastic. And so that's just one example of how you can do a little workshop, whether you're in the unit, of course, and if you're creative and you want to do this at home, you can also do it, just like the last one we did on Gone with the Wind musical. But it's always good to have a few people in the little workshop that you set up. Just have a little whiteboard stand, have some of the family there and some of the neighbours. It's good to have a group of you can even do a little group with 4 or 5 is, but at least 3. I think, you need at least 3 to do a little workshop, because otherwise it's one-on-one's demanding. It takes a lot of energy. But if you've got another couple in the group who have better cognition and can give input, like relatives or family as well, then you don't have to spend quite as much time trying to mine for engagement. Okay, so that's Hamlet, Shakespeare. So whatever your grandmother, whatever she learned at school, go back to that topic and have the workshop on that. So that's enough today on positivity in a dementia unit. But I think the main thing that I'd also like to mention is that these people, these residents, these people with dementia who make so much effort on so many levels just to manage, let alone being positive, they deserve so much credit. So much credit they deserve for the effort that they make, for the effort that they make in the unit just to be settled, not to sort of escalate with stress or go out of their minds with anger, just to make an effort in such extremely difficult circumstances, just to settle, so that they're not creating chaos for everyone, is so admirable, let alone making the effort to be positive on top of that. So these people deserve so much credit. They really don't receive enough credit for the effort they make. Not at all. So often they're just put in the unit and that's it. And then, other than that, not much attention is paid. But that's why they need to have that voice. They need to be recognised. That's why I was so keen to write this book, The Resident's Voice, on all the valued information that they give us, and we can learn from them so much. They've just got remarkable characters, remarkable courage and stamina, to have lived 80, 90, 95 years through wars and parents through depressions and, all the hardships and challenges, and then they come out of it as wonderful, unique individuals, characters. I think, that's the greatest resource for us to learn ever, and it's a privilege to work with these people and to be part of their world and to help them, because when we help them and they can actually access their thinking and contribute their experiences of life to us, then that is gold for us, isn't it? That reaches us and we can learn a lot and progress a lot through that more than in any other way, I feel. So that's the end of the workshop today on being positive in a dementia unit, how to be positive and the efforts to be positive and the results of being positive. That from that positivity, people will improve their confidence and communication will come from that, and then a positive community can result. Even if some of the people in the unit aren't able to make that effort to be positive, even if they aren't able to make that effort to think in the same way, being more disabled cognitively and maybe more disabled with health problems. The core group, even if there's only 8 or 10 in a group of 30, if they can make that effort to think things through and to be positive and to make that effort to, create a good community, that will ripple out to second row, third row, and the wanderers and the rest in the unit. And the whole atmosphere, the whole experience of living there can change just with 8 or 10 people making that effort to be positive. So that's the end of the session today on positivity in a dementia unit. And I want to say thank you. Thank you very much to all of you out there for taking an interest in the videos, listening to the videos, and liking and subscribing, and you know, that commitment of your time. I really appreciate it. So okay, so I'm just going to leave a link below to the 2 books, so you can get those if you wish to. Otherwise, good luck out there with your dementia community that you're working with, and helping people to be able to manage both with their thinking and their abilities in their life. Thank you.